Establishing shots of the Perkins campus are seen from an aerial view. Our floating perspective sweeps through a brightly colored playground above the Perkins Howe building and hovers in the sky, looking downward at the whole campus. We asked Perkins staff to share their experience with accessibility. Our goal is to welcome new staff and volunteers to Perkins with these first-hand examples. Interview participants are seated in front of a white wall. A title appears on a light blue background: Accessibility, Cultural Awareness, and Etiquette.
My name is Azzy Teets. I'm the coordinator of independent living in the secondary program, and most of my time is spent with new staff in the residential program.
My name is Corey Cadlick, and here at Perkins, I am the assistive technology specialist in the library.
Hi, my name is Sophie Scrimger, and I'm a secondary teacher and case manager in the secondary program here at Perkins School for the Blind.
My name is Andre Harris. I am currently the lead TA of lower school.
My name is Danielle Figuera. I joined Perkins in June of 2020, and I'm the manager of leadership engagement on the development and marketing team.
My name is David Busby. I've been here for about 2 years, and I am an aide at the lower school here at Perkins.
What is the value of building an inclusive culture at Perkins?
I think that being inclusive at Perkins is really embodying the values that we have for our students. Our school was built on those principles, and it's really rooted in our mission for how we support every student here. And it makes sense to be able to do the same for our staff and make inclusion and accessibility easy.
I see Perkins as the pioneer of disability inclusion, and not only inclusion but celebration. And as such, Perkins owns that responsibility, takes it very seriously in how they interact with their employees and the community.
People working together as a group, I think, is super important. And I think through universal design, you kind of appreciate how a space works and what the best way is for a space for different people with different needs to be able to access that space.
What does inclusive language mean to you?
Inclusivity needs to also reflect needing to label some situations, since students are not able to fully see who is in the environment with them or what may be occurring. And being mindful of giving them all of the information is really important so that they're a part of whatever interaction is occurring or whatever activity, and not editing what's happening so that they are fully a part of it.
I always like to introduce myself as, hi, my name's Andre. I use he, him, his pronouns. That's something that's very important to me. Ensuring that I understand a person's pronouns within the conversation we're going to be having, because I want to make sure that I am allowing them to bring their whole self to the table as much as possible, because if you can't tell me or feel comfortable enough to tell me that what your pronouns are, it's going to be hard for me to be able to help you and grow within Perkins or even outside. I want to be able to know who you are.
I have autism spectrum disorder, and in that there's many different ways in which I am addressed within the disability community in terms of whether or not I use first person language. I have autism versus third person language, whereas I am autistic. I tend to value, and it's different for each person. So not saying that first person language is for everyone, but also not saying that third person language is for everyone, and that's importance of asking for preferences. But for me, I see autism as part of my identity and not as that's what identifies me and that is all of me. And so in that, I prefer using first person language when I address or I talk about medical diagnoses, as that person has this type of diagnosis.
How might someone demonstrate cultural awareness to you?
It's all about listening and receiving and learning. Cultural awareness basically means that there are many different, people on this campus who live different lifestyles and have different ways of living and do things differently, and we just need to accept it.
In lower school, the program I currently work in, we have a cultural fair run primarily by our students. And so each one of our students come in and they bring something from their culture and they share it with the whole school. So it'll be food, it'll be an outfit, it'll be a story that they've told. Even if our students are nonverbal, their parents will send in a switch telling a story about how they came to Perkins. So it's a fun, inclusionary, like we're thinking about the culture of our students along with the blindness.
I think it's part of being part of a community and kind of picking up on how people choose to identify and how people view themselves. And so I think like there are quote unquote, I wouldn't say rules, but there are like academic ideas of what cultural awareness is. But I think it's as well getting to know people and kind of connecting with people.
Who are people with disabilities, and what does accessibility look like at Perkins?
People with disabilities don't have to show their disability. There's no such thing as a disability that is always seen. There are people with hidden disabilities. There are people with disabilities like myself. I'm blind. You can clearly tell. So I guess anyone can be disabled. So I guess kind of assume that anyone could have a disability. And so keep your mind open to that and think before you speak.
We're impacted on a daily basis. And for myself, where I have an autism diagnosis, I interact differently with how people are in just day to day. How do I interact with my peers? How do I interact with my students? How do I interact with parents or individuals who are older than me? And I'm so often also stereotyped because of it.
We don't assume anyone has or does not have disabilities, but we approach them with questions and support in the way of learning more about their story and not their disability.
What are some common missteps or misconceptions about disability?
A student that may seem different from a typical teenager, they are the same in so many ways. And it's important to keep that in mind and know that their future success and their ability to continually grow their independence is rooted in the expectations that others have of them and the expectations they have of themselves. And then they're able to continually build their self-determination skills and their maturity.
I guess the common misstep or misconception for me who's blind, people wanting to do things for me. Wanting to, you're blind, so I'll do that for you. Or how could you possibly do that? How could you possibly skydive? You can't see. What's the point? Why would you do it? So assumptions.
I think that there are definitely ways in which we can teach all people how to be inclusive with each other and how to interact with each other, whether or not knowing that that individual has a disability.
Sometimes people don't understand that just because a person has a disability, student or staff-wise, they all have a right to be here. They all have a right to enjoy life, have fun, and have friends. And I feel like being here at Perkins has really helped to solidify that thought process, because regardless of what one of our students can or cannot do, they are included in every aspect of our programming.
Blindness is not a state, but perhaps a spectrum. And within all disabilities, there are a spectrum of what folks are able to do, not do, or something is more prohibitive than something else.
We're not always seen as a community, we're seen as individuals. And I think like people with disabilities, we're not a monolith. And so there is the idea of each person experiencing their disability independently, but at the same time, paradoxically, I think community is important. And so I think that's something oftentimes people with disabilities we miss out on. I think that's something so cool about this place.
I'm Kim Charlson, and I'm the Executive Director of the Perkins Braille and Talking Book Library, and I'm a member of the Senior Management Team here at Perkins.
Kim uses a Braille display to read notes.
Perkins, as a leader in the broader community, one that our colleagues and organizations in the public turn to for guidance about accessibility. and we need to be the gold standard for all types of accessibility.
A hand places in an earbud, a white cane sweeps across pavement, and a braille sign reads, "You are on the first floor."
Whether that's digital access, as in Perkins Access, or physical accessibility here on our campus. We also have professional and cultural accessibility, and the kind of workplace that Perkins is for all of its employees.
Interview participants are seen speaking.
You've heard from many members of the Perkins community today, with and without disabilities, about their experiences here at Perkins and their life stories. Recognizing how every one of us at Perkins
A rainbow pride flag and the Perkins tactile globe.
needs to be respectful of each other and their colleagues and students with disabilities, whether they are young, old, students, staff. Our expectation is that we will treat everyone with respect and dignity.
A quilt that reads Perkins School for the Blind, Lower School OT, Alumni Jubilee 2006. A sign that reads Assistive Device Center, then colorful chairs and projects.
It's never wrong to ask questions if you're uncertain about how best to accommodate someone who might have a disability. You may be working on a project with a colleague and want to share information or resources. Just feel comfortable asking them what would work best for them to convey information.
A hand reaches for an arm for sighted guide, and a brailler is loaded with paper.
We all have a role and a responsibility to understand how best to accommodate someone's special needs. Perkins is a tremendous place for our students. It is an amazing place for us to work as employees.
A sign that reads Perkins School for the Blind, 1829, an aerial view of the campus, and yellow flowers.
And be a part of all the extraordinary things we do here every day to make the world more accessible for our students and to teach them that they have a place in our society. The one thing we never want to happen for them is that they get pushed to the sidelines because of lack of accessibility.
A woman's hands sign, "Hi, nice to meet you," in American Sign Language. A banner reads preschool, and a montage of tactile and printed symbols are seen in books and stuck on Velcro boards.
Every one of us can make a difference in the bigger world of accessibility and inclusion, and in turn, what we do contributes to better and broader cultural awareness and inclusiveness for Perkins as a whole. Perkins is certainly a place that I am proud to say I have worked for almost 40 years, and every day is always a new experience and an exciting adventure.
Perkins School for the Blind. Think courageously. Take ownership. Be collaborative.